own a rental property or you own multiple rental properties, it is absolutely important to understand that you are running a business. Yes, you are running a business because you have a product, which is the property or the properties. Then you have a tenant that is paying to utilize that property or properties at the end of the day. So they are providing you with rental income. So you do have a business. Now, with any other business, it's absolutely important to understand that you need to have financial provisions for emergencies. Now, emergencies pop up at any given time. And when they do, a lot of the times you need financial provisions to then cover those. It's like when you have a logistics company and you have a fleet of cars on the road, one of them breaks at any given time, you need to be able to send a mechanic there to go and check out what is the problem, and they might need to then tow that car to a workshop. Now that requires money. And with rental property, it's no different. When something goes wrong, you need to be able to have the money to cover that. Now, but what could go wrong when it comes to rental property? Number one, you might not have a tenant for a month, for 2 months, or even 6 months. But what happens when I don't have a tenant? Does it mean that my financial obligations go away? No, they don't. So you still need to pay rates, you still need to pay the levies, and you still need to pay the bond if you bought via bank. So all of that are financial obligations that you need to be able to cover whether you have a tenant or don't have a tenant. So that is number one, right? So with you being without a tenant. Number two, something might break when it comes to your rental property or rental properties. Things break all the time. It might be a door that broke, it might be a geyser burst, it might be a tap that is leaking, whatever the case might be. Whether it's the fault of a tenant or not, things go wrong. And you now need to be able to sort them out as the property owner. Now you can say, I'll wait for next month, I'll wait for the other month. You need to fix it immediately, especially if you have a good tenant, because you don't want to mess them around. If you mess them around, they're definitely going to go somewhere else. And then you'll find yourself wondering, right? So you need to make sure that you do have those provisions available. You need to have cash reserves available in case that happens so that you can fix it in time and make sure that your tenant is happy. But let's look at now the top 3 things that you can do to make sure that you do have those financial provisions for emergencies. Number 1, you need to save. I call this a rental pool. So every month putting money away to make sure that if anything goes wrong with my rental property or my rental properties, then I do have cash reserves available. So this could be through your stokvel, this could be just you saving by yourself, whatever the case might be. But you need to be able to put money away in case something goes wrong with your rental property. Second is that you can take out what we call a rental insurance. So a rental insurance is a financial product that is then tailor-made for property owners. Now, how does that work? Is that if, for example, you don't have a tenant, that rental insurance will pay you, the rental amount for a couple of months, as long as you don't have a tenant, depending on the type of package that you take. Or it can even cover for eviction costs. If you have those unruly and difficult tenants that don't want to pay, but they also don't want to get out of your property. So that could also cover for the eviction costs, to pay for the attorneys and legal fees to then evict, these unwanted tenants. Or at the end of the day, it can even cover you, for a couple of months while they're evicting, the tenant. So it can still give you the income that you need on a monthly basis. So that is number 2. So you can take out the rental insurance. Number 3, you can use the access bond facility. So if you bought that property via the bank, you can activate what we call an access bond. And through this, if you pay extra into that bond, then that money can then be available to you. So it still reduces your interest that you pay, but it's still flexible, still liquid when you want it. So if now emergencies pop up, you can go and utilize those access funds and be able to cover whatever emergencies that you need to do. that you need to cover at the end of the day. So there's a lot of them. I just wanted to cover just those 3 for today, so that you have an idea in terms of what you should be doing around your rental property or rental properties. But I really urge you to start looking at putting away money or have some kind of funds available for emergencies. Emergencies happen all the time. And remember that people that rent your properties, they're not you. So they don't have that vested interest in that property like you do. So a lot of the times you find that they really don't take care of that property as you would take care of the property. So you always need to put that in mind, and that is why it's absolutely critical to make sure that you have money available in case of something breaks or you don't have a tenant. You can then cover that. I also just want to say this. At times what we also do is that we don't fix things when they break when it comes to our properties. And you'll find that when the tenant goes out, what happens that now a lot of things needs to be fixed, and now it's going to cost you even more to then fix those things, because some of them you can fix in time and make sure that at the end of the day I don't spend a lot of money, because now the problem is now bigger than it was when it started. So always make sure that you take care of all of that. And what I can also recommend is that from time to time, maybe do a 6 months check and go just check and see what's happening with your property. Because at times, as long as we have a good tenant, they pay, then we are all good, and we wait for when they move out. And you probably maybe find that they move out after 3 years. And when they move out after 3 years, you'll find that the property, because you haven't seen it in 3 years, it's in a mess. And now the cost to fix it is going to be enormous. So please make sure that you take care of those inspections maybe after 6 months or so, and just to check that your property is still in a good condition. So I hope that this content really is going to help you to start thinking differently around your rental property or rental properties when it comes to now putting money away for those emergencies that may pop up. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. My name is Gavin Mkabela, and see you on the flip side.